Welcome to STEAM State of Mind, your favorite source for all things STEAM education.
STEAM State of Mind.
This isn't just science, technology, engineering, arts, and math. It's a state of mind, a different way to approach education in the classroom.
STEAM State of Mind.
Enjoy these conversations with educators, students, and community members as we explore what it means to be in a STEAM state of mind.
STEAM State of Mind.
Well, hi there, Bern. This is Kari. We are in Kettering, and we are here to record, believe it or not, our 25th STEAM State of Mind podcast. Hard to believe.
Kari, it has been such an exciting journey, and we have learned so much throughout this whole process. I can't wait to go just to reflect, to see where we've been, where we are right now, and where we're going in the future.
And, you know, I think we are going to kind of reflect back a little bit on some of those podcasts that we've recorded in the past. But I think, I think what I hope, for anybody who might be listening to this, for the tens of people that are listening to our podcast, that as you hear us talk a little about what we've kind of this journey we've been on, that you realize it is a journey that can be successful. And I mean, we have a long way to go, but I think if we kind of look back and reflect on where we started and where we are today, that you'll see that this is a process that really is possible and that can really happen at any school district at any grade level, as long as you are willing to kind of embrace the fact that STEAM can become a state of mind in education.
Absolutely. And the big part that I think when I was thinking about doing this podcast and the recording of it, and I was thinking about, there's been a lot of failures. And there's a lot of things like, I wish I would have done it this way, when we started, or we should have done it this way. But, that's part of the journey, and that's part of the learning. And we tell our kids it's okay to fail. And so it's okay for us to fail sometimes.
Absolutely.
Yes. And we keep learning. I mean, we're lifelong learners.
Right.
And so we keep learning and we keep trying. And I think we just keep getting better and better. Mm-hmm. So.
And so I think back when you first approached me about this, and you were kind of expounding on your idea for this podcast, and I remember thinking, I don't know that is there enough to talk about in a podcast, much less 25 podcasts. But thank you for bringing me along on this journey, because I have learned so much from you. And it has been so incredibly interesting to think back to that very first podcast when, I was scrambling and checking my Cliff Notes and my cheat sheets that you had handed to me so that I sounded relatively intelligent and like I sort of knew what I was talking about, even though I really didn't. To where I feel like I at least have an overall sort of understanding of STEAM education, and really what you, as our STEAM coach, our elementary STEAM coach in Kettering here is trying to do, and what anybody can do, and that is to really embrace STEAM education and just make it an integral part of everything you do every day. So let's talk a little bit about that. Let's talk about sort of that journey. So
right now, you just already. You just identified something that was our number one goal, was just get people to understand what is the STEAM state of mind. What is STEAM? And you kind of just said, okay, we were kind of successful in bringing people along to understanding what it is, because so many people just have it defined as science, technology, engineering, and math. And we put in the arts here in Kettering. And they don't understand the whole state of mind part of it, where, I'm still working on this, but, where language arts teachers, that has nothing to do with me. Well, they are the integral part, just so important in this entire process. And so just at the beginning, I think we were just trying to get people to understand, the whole STEAM state of mind. And I think we're getting successful, or we are successful in a lot of ways with it. Are we at the place where I wanted to be yet? No. But through the support of the district as a whole, like all the way from the top, from the superintendent. I mean, because we had the superintendent as a guest on one of these times. We were talking about the portrait of a graduate and how that is an integral part of this entire STEAM state of mind. Through the assistant superintendent of curriculum, Dan von Handorf was here of teaching and learning. And, he was talking about, so we had support all the way from the top, from all the way to, I don't mean this as an insult to preschool teachers, but I'm just saying from the earliest of our, where STEAM begins in our educational system here in Kettering is with our preschool kids. We have so many preschool teachers who are embracing the STEAM state of mind, and actually they were one of the easier ones for them to understand it.
Right.
And I found that to be very interesting. Now, I was scared to death to work with preschool kids at first, but oh my God, that was so much fun.
Yeah.
They're just sponges, But then getting the parents to understand it and getting the community to understand it and getting the, going out further and connecting and networking. And we're part of the Do STEM network now here in Dayton, Ohio. And we've been able to establish so many partnerships and being able to, have outsourced resources like, the Boonshoff Museum, the Dayton natural history of whatever it's called. I forget off the top of my head, but, with Boonshoft, they got a $20,000 grant just for Kettering, to support what we're doing here. And it's just amazing, the partnership and the collaboration and everything that's been going on, that people are catching on to what it means to have a STEAM state of mind.
Well, and let's talk a little bit about some of those partnerships, because I think that's a really important part of this journey, and really of, I think, our teachers and staff sort of gaining an understanding of how STEAM, it doesn't have to be another thing I have to do with my students. It doesn't have to be that way. When we first started this, you were the first one to admit that, you had kind of this core group of teachers who got it and they understood. And that was not a big group of teachers to start with, who realized that, it doesn't have to be another thing I do. It can be part of what I do already. And, that you based on the success with that small group, you took it out to another group and a larger group. And then you brought these partners in, and that's so important. You're so important to the success of our STEAM state of mind here in Kettering, because of your connections and your willingness to go out there and find those partners that are going to have a positive impact on what our kids are learning and what our teachers are teaching every day in the classroom. So maybe highlight a couple of UDRI, University of Dayton, and the work that they do. It's almost like our Oakview kids, they're like their buddies. It's like it's just a given that UDRI and Oakview kids, they're just going to have this relationship. And talk a little bit about some of those and how important those are.
So we'll just talk about our two longest standing partnerships. We have our goal. The goal is that every elementary school will have a community partner. And we're not quite there yet, but we will get there. But we were talking about the University of Dayton Research Institute, and in that, it's so amazing how that has grown and how it is now just part of that Oakview community, and that it is just, it's not something new. It's not something, it's just something that keeps growing and gets better every year. And so one of the things, and I think we talked about this one other podcast, is that, one of the activities that they do with our students is in the third grade, they talk about energy conservation. And so they do the MacGyver Wind Challenge. And so that is, they actually, they study about all these different ways to conserve energy and they do all these different experiments and stuff. And then ultimately, they engineer their own wind turbine.
The third graders.
Third
do
graders,
this, yeah,
yes.
Which is it's a sight to see.
Yeah, it is. But what is so awesome, and just what these kids are, and this is where this partnership comes in, is we actually we go to UDRI, and last year I'm pretty sure it was 25. They had 25 engineers that was from either the Air Force Base or from UDRI directly, and they paired them up with these students at the 3 classrooms at Oakview, and we went to their campus, and they worked together collaboratively to engineer these wind turbines out of, I call them like my junk barrels, basically, or they're just anything they could.
One person's junk
exactly.
is another person's treasure.
I know some people are like, why do you want this? I'm like, oh yeah, we could, but so they are engineering using all these different materials and supplies and all this stuff or whatever to then successfully generate enough electrical energy, through this wind turbine to, and they measure how much electrical energy is generated, and we put it in these fans, we do all this testing and stuff like that, and it's all done with these engineers. But then what's so cool then is then we go back to, the school, and then for 4 days, the engineers come into the classroom, and they work with the students to engineer specific blades that, wind turbine blades, that then they take those blades and they print them, 3D print them at UDRI. And they come back after they print them, they come back and we test it again. And really the goal is to engineer blades that are better than the blades that were purchased off of this website. I won't name the name of the people that designed the original blades, but the goal is to have blades outperform them. And every year, every time, our blades always outperform the blades that come with this kit, turbine kit. I mean, it's just these kids see that connection of the workforce. They make connections to these people who are in the real world. They see these engineers as real people. Oh, I could be that.
Right.
I look like this person. Or, what's really cool now is we're getting more and more females that are participating in, this challenge. And, with the adult female engineers, we're seeing more there. And so it's just a really great thing. The other partnership is I always try to, because people can't believe that we have a STEAM partnership with Trader Joe's.
Right.
I mean, it is a whole, it's amazing the process that they go through with all these different grade levels and how they make these connections to the real world, and how STEAM is a state of mind at Trader Joe's. I mean, from the artwork, from the culture, from the, figuring out the supply and demand, and, the economics, and everything about it, and how it goes with our farm to table program.
Right.
And so just recently, we had our 5th grade students go to Trader Joe's, and they had to figure out how far the different merchandise traveled, and the cost of that, and why they couldn't, be just local, because everything can't be just local, and that type of thing, because they are participating in the Ohio STEM Learning Network's Design Challenge for this year, and it's about the Starbase, where in the near future, our space station is going to go out of commission, and it's being replaced by something called StarLab. And so they've asked students in Ohio to come up with ways to improve the culture and I don't know if you call it the culture, but the environment of Star Lab and making it more sustainable. And the reason why we went to Trader Joe's is talking about that transportation aspect of things and transporting food and the costs of that. Because right now, which this is cheap in the terms of space travel, right now they have it down to like $10,000 to $13,000 per pound to transport food or anything up to the to the space station. And so it used to be much, much more than that. It used to be like 70,000. I don't know for sure, but something to that effect. And so the students are learning about that cost and how you can reduce that cost, and how can we have a sustainable garden in the Star Lab, and so they don't have to transport the food up there all the time.
How neat!
And so I know,
like these kids that are learning about this, we could have one of them working on sustainable environment for the Star Lab someday. Wouldn't that be cool?
Yeah, and so
because they're equating, going across the street here to Trader Joe's at Town and Country Shopping Center and learning about this stuff at a local level and how it applies, at a national, international level. How neat is that?
Oh, I know. And it is. It's really exciting. And how Trader Joe's has taken it on, like, just wanting to participate in this and being a part of this whole process and whatever. So, I mean, it's just, this stuff is happening across Kettering. Right. And, those are just two examples. I mean, you probably already guessed through these different podcasts that I could talk forever about certain things we could
It's exciting. Well, and there's a lot going on. I mean, you had to start somewhere, and it has to be somewhat satisfying to you as a STEAM coach. And again, like you said, I mean, we're all lifelong learners, and STEAM has to be a lifelong pursuit, because let's hope that we never run out of things to learn about when it comes to science, technology, engineering, the arts, and math. I mean, let's hope not. So there's always going to be something new and something different and something to add to what we're already doing. But it's pretty cool where we are when you think about when you started in this position as a brand new position here in Kettering. Yeah,
and the big when you talk about it, the whole goal at the beginning too is just getting students to understand the design process and the design thinking and how to problem solve. Being able to approach a problem and know how to, get started. Because, there's a lot of, we talked about this, different podcasts where there are so many students, not just in the elementary, but in high school and in college, where the students a problem is presented to them and they just sit there and they don't even know how to approach it. And so with the STEAM state of mind, we're really working on having kids to understand just how to approach a problem, and have that state of mind to be able to solve it. And what's so great is that when I'm working with these kids and these teachers and coaching and different things, is that I don't see those moments where they just sit there and look at you like, well, tell us what to do.
Right.
Just tell me what to do. Now they know, classrooms that I'm working with quite a bit or whatever, they just they almost are itching, okay, we get it. We know the problem. Let's start. Come on. Yeah. And they, they don't just sit there. They jump in. And, that's they're driving their engagement. They're driving their learning. And that is so exciting to me to see this happening across Kettering, where these students are, at the level of engagement where they're driving their own learning. And it's so much fun to see and watch.
Right. And, there's a certain amount of support out there, obviously, for the importance of STEAM education. From just last week at a Kettering board meeting, our Kettering Education Foundation was announcing the grants that they had given, you happen to be one of the ones who has received another grant to help with our STEAM night in I think, is that in February? When do we do?
No, it's in May.
In May, sorry, in the spring.
I know.
So and we have the Ohio STEM Learning Network that just awarded a large grant to a teacher and to the district. So there's support, and there's just. It's out there how important STEAM education is, because you have this, it's kind of putting the money where the mouth is, where we've got, monetary support from these, local, state, and national organizations that want to further STEM and STEAM education at all levels. Talk a little bit about how important those are and what that means to our students and our teachers.
Yeah, well, I was trying to calculate in how much money, since we've started this, how much money that we've been able to get in grants, and it has been over $100,000 that we've had just for supporting the Kettering Elementary STEAM, and I mean, to me that's amazing. I did not expect that it would be that much, but what is so awesome about this is that. When it's getting easier and easier, I shouldn't say it's never easy to get a big grant or anything, but it is getting easier and easier to get these grants, to get these outside sources to believe in what we're doing, because Kettering is so committed to STEAM, because we have had success in the past, because they know we're following through and we have this vision and these goals, and they know that what we're doing is that STEAM state of mind, that the industries and the workforce and everything, these are the things that they're looking for, So, this year we got a $30,000 grant from the Engineering and Science Foundation of Dayton, and it's all supporting one grade level in Kettering, and, the fourth grade, and it's because they understand and they saw what our vision was. They believed in that vision. They believed that what we are doing is going to help in the future to have more females in the sciences and engineerings and the engineering fields, in the workforce, with having more problem solvers and that type of thing. And they believe we have to start it. And because we talked about this too in the research in past podcasts about how important it is to start implementing these STEAM state of mind things and problem solving skills in the elementary, that for some it's too late by the time they hit middle school. And so they're understanding that, they see our success, and so we're getting these larger grants. And talked about Boonshoft, they got $20,000 to support what we're doing here in Kettering. And so we can have these experiences, these field experiences, and they're coming in, and it's just been absolutely so much fun. And
right.
The Ohio STEM Learning Network, how much they are supporting us, and just the local foundations, like the Kettering Forward Foundation. We are now working on developing outdoor learning spaces, learning environments, because there's so many things. Just being outside and doing some of these experiences and exploration and having a space to be able to do that. These kids just opening up a whole new world for them. The Kettering Land Lab. I mean, what we have, that partnership and the grants and the money that we've been getting with them, the city of Kettering. I mean, it's just, it's a team. Mm-hmm. And this team, and including you, Kari, has really established
championed STEAM education.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it.
And I don't know if we just spent a few minutes here, you talking, in terms of monetary grants and things, and lest people missed when you were talking about UD's Research Institute that 25. You're up to 25 professional engineers who voluntarily work for 4 or 5 days with students. I mean, you cannot put a price tag on
yeah.
the support, that kind of support that we're getting for what we're doing here in Kettering, and you know what I think that any district or any you know school that wants to do this can, you know, if you just put it out there and it gets embraced because it is so important and it's so impactful once you get it going and make it a part of what you're doing every day.
Yeah, well, and, you know, I hate to say this thinking on a small scale, but even our small businesses like the Dayton Brick Shop and what they have done with Greenmont Elementary and that partnership, how they have helped change that entire culture and that STEAM state of mind that is going on there, and being able to take students to the brick shop in their classroom, and that they have there that these students are building and engineering things and problem solving. We sent our second grade students over there, and then not just that, you know, their dedication towards helping students understand the importance of learning and being a lifelong learner.
Right. They're an integral part of Greenmont's theme, which is we're a school of lifelong learners. How neat is that? And I know that Dayton Brick Shop loves being a part of that. I mean, they sought out you know, that kind of involvement and partnership through you, of course, and your relationship with them.
In one of our podcasts, we had Nick, the owner. He was on one of our podcasts, and it was just great. You know? So it is becoming, well, it has become a community. I don't know how you call it. I guess like a community endeavor, or it's a community. Everybody is involved in this, and it's just been so much fun to watch it grow and see it in action.
Well, let's so you kind of started this podcast with the challenging yourself and myself and our listeners to make STEAM a state of mind. So let's talk about your next challenge, which is you want to make STEAM a verb. Talk about what that means, because you talked about that a little bit before we started recording here. What do you mean by let's make STEAM a verb? What does that mean?
We have so many great things going on, and we have so many like actions that's happening. And what I would like to do, and this is this isn't something that I created myself, saying that STEM is a verb or STEAM is a verb. There are articles out there about this, and but there's a difference between thinking of STEAM as a noun, as a thing, than thinking of STEAM as a verb. Because if you think of it as a noun, then it's a thing that you have to do that could be considered as, like we said earlier, something extra. If I can, one of my goals is to start developing more of the mindset and continuing that STEAM state of mind that we talked about, the integration and all of this stuff or whatever. So integrating all these nouns, but turning it into a verb.
Make it something you just do as part of
it's
what?
Your action. So STEAM is an action, where it is great quality, pedagogy, way of teaching. It is students get it. Like when, I come into the classroom sometimes and the kids are like, oh, yes, I want every day to be like that for the kids. I want every day. Now, I know that not everything can be the most, entertaining or whatever. I even hate to use the word entertaining. The most engaging, but we can make it engaging, and we can, by making STEAM a verb, by steaming things up. Do you like that little thing? All right.
That was very cute, Bern. Very cute.
It is cute. I don't know if it's going to stick or not, but I would love to steam things up where, the students are increasing the level of engagement, that it is across the board with all the nouns of, language arts, writing, social studies, science, math, workforce education, computer science, everything, all the
So
standards.
it's something you do as part of social studies, and you do
Yes.
it as part of language arts, and yeah.
Right. Because, the biggest battle, if we're talking about one of the biggest challenges that I am facing, and everybody and all educators face, is time. Mm-hmm. And if we can take that mindset of changing STEAM from a noun to a verb, it will help better understand the STEAM state of mind, where it is not something extra. It is a way of doing. It's a way of having things done in, and it's the way that is doing, problem solving and figuring out these challenges and these obstacles that they have to overcome. I mean, talk about helping with their social emotional learning. Talk about being able to do anything and approach anything because they have the skills to be able to do the things, because we are steaming things. Get it? I'm trying to use that as a verb here.
Yeah.
And then it also goes
it's a whole new way of looking at that word.
Yeah. And but also,
or acronym, I guess it would be there appropriate.
True. Yes. but also think about, because we talked about the portrait of a graduate. I'm currently also working with the state of Ohio and their personalized learning team and the state of Ohio workforce, where we are working on ways of how we can use the portrait of a graduate or portrait of a learner, whichever one, whatever districts have, that, really that is our end goal in a lot of ways. And so how are we using that, pre-K through, graduation or even after graduation? And so, thinking about, one of them's engaged collaborator, what we have here in Kettering. We have, lifelong learners, critical thinking, thoughtful communicator. And so we're integrating all these things into our steaming of our lessons and just naturally putting that in when they're using it. And those are the things that a good educator or, what we want to be able to accomplish when our students leave this district, that, these are the skills that they are able to walk away with. And by golly, you'll want to hire this person because they have these problem-solving skills. They want to learn. They know how to learn. They're engaged in what they're doing. And to me, would be the greatest accomplishment that we can achieve as educators, to have successful citizens.
Absolutely. So I know this will be another huge challenge for you, but as we wrap up today's podcast, in a couple of sentences, what do you hope we're going to be talking about when we record our 50th podcast?
So I'm hoping that when we record the 50th podcast, that we will be able to talk about the students that we currently have, okay? Because they are going through this whole process, or I shouldn't say process. They are going, a lot of these students are experiencing this STEAM in the elementary level. And I would love to be able to talk about the impact that it's having on our future high school students and college students, what type of impact it has. Now, I know that's hard to
what they learned as a first, second, third, fourth, fifth grader, how is that carrying them into continuing to make STEAM a state of mind in middle school and high school and beyond, really.
Yeah. And how it's helping them to be that productive citizen that we talked about. So, I mean, that would be like so wonderful if we could do that.
That's a great goal. Let's write that down.
Okay.
All right.
Podcast number 50.
Podcast number 50. That's our title and theme. Sounds great.
Well, we could have talked about so many more things.
Absolutely. But it has been kind of fun to reflect back on where we've been and to kind of look at where we are today, and then to dream and steam a little bit about where we're going to be, in years from now. And it all kind of, encompasses that whole idea that STEAM is a state of mind and a verb.
Yeah.
Now I have a new thing. I have to sort of focus and run through my brain and figure out. So you're always challenging me, Bern, and I appreciate it.
Well, I find I'm always challenged by other teachers in the district.
Absolutely.
And because they are phenomenal. We have some of the greatest teachers in Kettering. I mean, they are lifelong learners, and all they want is what's best for these kids. And if you have that mindset, I mean, you're going to adopt the STEAM state of mind.
Steam ahead, right?
Exactly. And it's just, I'm excited to continue this journey and to learn along the way and keep improving and getting better every day, I hope.
Well, thanks for pulling me along with you and giving me the opportunity to learn. It's one of my favorite things is to learn new things and embrace new things and to be able to talk about it and to share kind of what we're doing here in Kettering that can be replicated and, out there all over the place. So continued great things for you as our STEAM coach, and hopefully we can continue to talk about some of those great things here on our STEAM State of Mind podcast.
All right, so here's to the next 25 recordings.
Sounds great. Good talking with you today, Bern.
Thanks, Kari.